Good morning, everyone. Jane Monreal here with you on June 19th. You are watching live Impact News on WCNC Plus, 9 o'clock straight up on this Juneteenth. If you are commemorating the holiday, good that you are participating in Juneteenth, of course, the day where those last set of slaves were notified that they are free. An important holiday here in America. Freedom is why we're here, right? So let's talk about, we are free to walk in this sweaty air. It's back. What do you mean? Did it leave? Did it leave?
Yeah, well, yesterday was less humid.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe I only noticed it because I looked at the numbers, but by the numbers, it was less humid. You might be saying, Chris, you're crazy. I didn't notice the difference at all. Actually, yesterday evening, we are actually, can we give the sky shot? We have our weather intern, Lily, here.
Oh,
and
hi,
you're
Lils.
Yeah, and here, I'll bring this up. You saying you walked out with Brad and you were so almost surprised about how dry it was.
Well, the air outside, especially when we went outside last night around 7 p.m., it was pretty much clear. Dew point was under 70 degrees at this point, so
Look
it
at
was
this.
nice and
This is an
breezy.
intern, people.
Wow, Lily. Now, Lily, which is my my oldest niece's name, so I love the name Lily. But meteorology degree, journalism degree.
Yes.
And look at you, take command of the weather already.
I know. I try.
You're doing great.
I wasn't this
Our
cool on
future.
air.
I know, I was so not cool.
It's still now. just look at me right now. Look at how composed she is, and I'm just all slinking. Now, Lily's done a great job, a lot of different graphics as well. But no, seriously, where
Great
I
job.
was in junior year, I'm not going to say live on air. So good
All
for
right.
you. But a perfect transition here is let's get out some of the best things about summer, such as popsicles, right? So here is our popsicle forecast.
Oh,
here it is.
bring it.
Ooh, what would you rather have? The cherry, the lime, the orange, or the grape?
Cherry.
Cherry?
Cherry.
Did you say wine?
Sure.
Oh,
Cherry
I'll take a
wine.
wine pop.
They
See,
make those, don't they?
I think we just
Cherry
came up with
wine.
something. Are we making wine popsicles?
pops.
Is that our side biz? Coming to a
Should.
farmer's
Oh,
market
wait,
near you.
shoot.
Yeah.
All right, so our popsicle stick forecast, kind of switching up our headlines. Today we have a dry morning. It's happening right now. We got sunshine. It's gorgeous. And we have some afternoon storms. Tomorrow is my pick of the week. Bow, 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 bow. It's going to get hotter through the weekends. And then next week we have that real feel around 100 to 105 degrees. Oh, summertime. You are surging. We're up to 79 degrees, but check out the background. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love this. We have
Stunning.
75 around Hickory. As I mentioned, we're turning that moisture back up, which could be translated over to some storm fuel. I think we're dry through noon, but we see our signs of storms starting to bud, blossom right around 2 o'clock, to use some flower references with Lily next to me. We have scattered showers right around 4 p.m., and then it's isolated heading into the evening. Being honest with you, the Storm Prediction Center has a low to a medium threat. I don't really see this anything past our typical summertime pattern. The amount of times that we will have clusters of thunderstorms that can turn into severe thunderstorms, I think that's the typical. I'm not discounting the chance of wet microbursts and wind damage. I just don't see this as an exceptional widespread chance compared to what we would see on a typical summer day with this moisture and a trough that drives it all up. It's also going to be a breezy day regardless. We have wind gusts to about 25 miles per hour, winds out of the southwest, and because of the increase of cloud cover and the early arrival of those storm chances, I only have a high of 91. Yesterday, I'll be honest, this is always a transparent mode in here. Probably my biggest miss high temperature wise all spring. I called for 93. We only hit 89 yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I could have just swept that
Keep
under the
it
rug.
going.
No one
No.
would have been the wiser.
Appreciate the
Yeah.
transparency.
Yeah,
You know
I
what?
went
You're
up-
honest.
Yeah, I think it was 89.2, and I'm not bitter. I'm not mad
You're not-
about
you're
it.
not bitter at all.
I'm not about it.
I know the best thing is like when you're forecasting this is when winds are out of the southwest, it can act as the blowtorch effect. But this one, I think it mixed in the air a little bit too much, and then we got the cloud cover that kind of inhibited that. So I have learned, so that's why I brought our high to 91. Also, it's a little warmer start today. Sometimes it's the starting point, and we move forward. 2 p.m. till 8 p.m. I think is our best chance for storms. If there's anything, it's going to be gusty winds. I think we see several of those special weather statements. Those are blue boxes that can form that look like a severe thunderstorm warning on a radar app. And there will be some severe thunderstorm warnings across the Carolinas. I just think that they're going to be a little more prevalent east and southeast of Charlotte. So 2 to 8 is where we're going to have storms in our area. Still, of course, some heavy rain. We could have rain rates up to 2 inches plus per hour. And then the usual gusty winds in general. And of course, you have the frequent lightning. So number one threat, damaging winds. You can see it there. There is technically a low chance for hail. I think if we see any hail, it's northwest of Charlotte in the foothills, higher elevations, a little bit cooler. It supports hail more, where May is actually the most popular month for hail just because temperatures are a little bit cooler in the upper levels and it just matches up. Okay, so let's get to our future cast. I'm actually going to show two here. I'm going to show one that is looking like the most likely to show you more widespread storms. I'm going to show you the other one that I'm seeing kind of a pattern shift that could actually lead to less storms. So let me get to it. So if we're going to see storms, as I mentioned, it's that 2 to 8 time frame. But for Charlotte, notice how everything gloms together. One thing for sure, this is going to be a fast formation that happens here. So they're going to move fast, they're going to form fast, and they're going to be flying. So wind damage is the primary hazard. Possible warnings, and the clusters of storms really amplify that gusty wind threat. We're not quite shrimpy. By the way, Carlene, I didn't tell you, I actually name dropped you. Yeah, because when we were doing the bow echoes, it's like Carlene from our Impact Studio, our producer, calls you shrimp, and as I see, is verified.
It's because it's shrimp shape.
Yeah, it's that.
It's
So,
shrimp shape.
Yeah,
so I
I
call for
forgot
no
now.
shrimp heads today. No shrimp heads.
no shrimp heads.
So just the shrimp bodies, which just means gusty winds.
Bodies.
I feel like now I'm
That's
getting
what- I mean,
further away from the point.
That's what we eat.
Yeah, that's what we eat. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna cut it off there because then I think I'm losing the point as far as the gusty winds. But yeah, they're not gonna have really the necessary twist for like a tornado possibility. That's very near zero outside chances. But we have a high moisture content that could lead to some localized flooding as well. And then the timing is also indicating that you will have a chance chance for a wet morning commute, especially southeast. So getting back to our future cast, for the timing, everything kind of globs together, as I mentioned, right around that 2 to 4 time frame. Then we start to see the energy really shift. Notice how you have a really nice line of storms, or mean line, however you want to look at it. Nice from the meteorological point of view. That's where I think you're going to see a big time, those really huge severe thunderstorm warnings. Raleigh does it all the time to cover a lot of counties, because that just shows that I think the line's probably moving at 45 to 50 miles per hour. And then by the end of the evening, we're storm free. And I think that you were looking at storm free status probably about 6 to 8 o'clock. But now, let's talk about the other scenario. Sometimes, whenever you have a cluster of storms, as you're seeing here, energy can be driven away. We see this all the time. The biggest bust that we see in any forecast here in the Carolinas is what will happen is down in South Carolina, they'll have all the energy. You'll have a mean line, you'll have the severe thunderstorms there, and it's like, well, what happened here? Well, oftentimes, there's only so much energy to go around. Whenever you have a storm system that is really taking charge, starting to drive over, starts to have that bow, it'll start to draw energy away. So there is a chance that this little bow that you're seeing down here that's moving due south, before it was looking like it was going to be more southeast. Southeast would keep the energy around. So if this moves due south, as this is kind of showing, that's going to show that you see more energy down in Georgia. Georgia sees this all the time. They take their storms away. Not mad about it. And then we see less coverage here. You're still going to see storms. They're just not as numerous. So our window is still there. 2 to 8. Just don't be surprised if you don't see a storm, because this scenario is kind of looking to be coming a little bit more like the fruition that could be a possibility. Still the darker clouds, just really depends. So I think you have more of a broken line in this scenario. Still, again, 2 to 4 around Charlotte, 2 to 8 across the entire area. How hot are we going to feel? I have 97 today for a peak, but there's a chance of getting to about that 100-degree point right around Lancaster and Charlotte. But then now we talk about my pick of the week. This is the real feel tomorrow. Ooh.
Okay.
The real feel.
91.
Okay.
91's never looked so good, right?
Yeah.
And I have a high of 90. So that shows that this is just a plain old hot 90.
It's a good old
It's
hot
it's a more of that dry heat that everyone says from Arizona.
Yeah.
But then it comes right back. Then we have a brief break from all that. Then feel more like 96 to mid 90s, which we haven't been able to crack. We haven't felt like the upper 90s in Charlotte yet, but I think that will change by the end of the weekend, because our muggy meter comes down, but then it comes right back up. So moving to our 7-day forecast. Okay, come on. Moving to our 7-day forecast. There it is. You have temperatures lower 90s Saturday, mid 90s on Sunday, and then the upper 90s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So this is a big time heat wave. We got the heat dome in place, and a heat dome is just going to keep the heat around. It's each day builds on each other. That you start off in the mid 70s, you hit the mid 90s. You start off maybe a degree warmer, and then you still hit the mid to the upper 90s, and then it continues to feed on itself, and it's not going anywhere. So it does look like for the extended forecast, we're not getting out of the 90s anytime it looks like over the next 10 to 14 days. Things can still change. That's the long range, but this is an epic heat wave that's going to be setting up. It's always the first one that we have. We have the most areas of reports of heat exhaustion and such like that. So I want everyone to mentally start thinking of water sources, ways to cool yourselves down, and that you're going to be cautious, because I don't want anyone to be going to the hospital or get heat sickness, heat ailments of any sort, especially when it's feeling like 100 to 105.
Lily, do you concur?
I agree.
Okay.
Good job.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Well, if
Good
Lily
team.
agrees, then we're good.
It's
We're-
gonna be really hot.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow though.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. Just regular.
Regular hot. Okay.
Regular hot.
All right. There is your 7-day, and we thank you all. Live Impact Studio here. Let's get one more.
Can
Go.
I say one more thing?
Please.
Absolutely.
So I would not have known about this big trial that you're probably going to be talking about if I didn't come in here. Because I'm already forgetting her name, Reed.
Karen Reed.
Karen Reed, yeah. Because I was just like, why are you looking at a courtroom case from Dedham, Massachusetts? So
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I know you're going to talk about it. I'm not trying to take the thunder. I'm just going to let you know I learned it here in the Impact Studio
Right.
that you're
Right.
about
That's where we
to talk
learn
about.
things.
Well, I mean, and that's the last several weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's been going on for a
Been
long
going
time.
on, so.
8 or
9, well, yeah, because
Yeah.
we started with jury selection.
Right.
So
been
pretty
a
much
long-
from jump.
Has
we were
anyone
all
ever been
over
on the
it.
jury?
No.
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 I've been excused the handful of times I've been called.
I've never been
Yeah.
called.
I've gotten the letter and
want
that's
me.
it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, immediately I called and they're like, don't even bother showing
Yeah, those
up.
are the best.
We don't need you, Chris.
Not yet, but we do need you here for the Live Impact Studio,
Yeah.
giving us the weather.
Always a pleasure.
All right. And Lily, we'll see you around. Yes,
She'll be here
'cause
all
she's
summer.
here for a while.
Yeah.
She's here for a while. Thank you for your
Join us
contributions.
anytime.
I keep on telling our young journalists, you're our future.
Yep.
You're our
All
future.
right, so this is how we mold them, with Chris Mulcahy at the helm.
Oh,
That's
I'm so
right.
sorry about that.
Right.
It won't because of me.
All right, we'll see you guys. Yes, Karen Reed retrial. That verdict came down yesterday. Carlene and I were watching it closely for the last several
we
weeks.
were on air.
On
It was-
air,
It was right
covering
around
here
3 o'clock
in the
when it
courtroom.
happened.
Yes, I was running into
You
the
were running into
studio
here.
and sending you messages and telling us that
We've been
the
watching
verdict
this
is
for
in.
weeks now.
It was just so bizarre that it was the verdict came in.
The verdict came in, and then 2 seconds they said, never mind.
No, psych.
And then it took a little bit, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so.
It took a little.
15,
Well, it took a little
15.
bit longer, 15 minutes. But then they had to get
Everybody back in.
everybody back in.
We
Then
s-
precautions sat
Yes.
outside because
There was a huge
there was
crowd.
people. Yes,
You heard when the verdict came in, there was a roar
Yeah.
from the crowds outside. It was crazy.
from the beginning, and this is a retrial, and the retrial. They were concerns that it was going to end up in another
Yeah.
hung jury because it was taking so long. But alas, a verdict decided there, not guilty. She was guilty on OUI. She's got to
Yes.
serve 1 year, but on probation, as this is a first offense. So if you haven't caught up with the Karen Reed retrial, there's a documentary.
It's everywhere.
A Dateline.
There's a Dateline now.
tonight
Yep.
on it on NBC,
Yep.
and
It's everywhere.
again,
I feel like if you scroll on your timeline,
on your social
it's
media, yes.
it'll pop up.
So, but most of you heard it here first, right?
Yeah.
Here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus is where we bring you the latest in live news. Speaking of which, breaking news right now as a live shot here of Tel Aviv. Let's get that picture up here. This is Tel Aviv right now. Overnight, Israeli Prime Minister confirming the strike on a hospital in Israel coming from Iran, trying to assess the damage, injuries, or fatalities, but that is some of the news coming up here into the Live Impact studio. President Trump, for his part, still not saying which way he's going to go, a full involvement with the conflict, but we are keeping a close eye on rising tensions there with airstrikes from Iran to Israel being intercepted, a lot by U.S. military on standby, and every day is a different day. So as we watch that, Alice Barr in Washington with NBC giving us the latest.
This morning, Israel assessing damage from a new round of Iranian airstrikes hitting a major hospital in the south and areas around Tel Aviv. That after Israel struck another target in the Iranian nuclear program that it's seeking to destroy, as President Trump weighs whether the U.S. military will join that mission.
I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war.
The president meeting again with his national security advisors, considering whether to launch U.S. strikes on Iran, despite growing threats of retaliation.
I may do it, I may not do it.
Israeli strikes have probably set Iran's nuclear program back by a few months already, according to two sources with knowledge of the matter. But one critical underground facility would likely require an American bunker-busting bomb. President Trump suggesting he'd given Iran an ultimatum and that the path is narrowing to a diplomatic deal that many on Capitol Hill want.
We don't need to escalate in Iran. That doesn't make anyone in the Middle East safer, and it certainly doesn't make the United States any safer.
Growing division among Republicans, with some backing military intervention.
Either you want them to have a nuclear weapon or you don't. And if you don't, if diplomacy fails, you use force.
Others, like Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, arguing against another Middle East entanglement.
I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
How close Iran may be to developing a nuclear weapon remains an open and pressing question. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Here on U.S. soil, and particularly in Florida, some news right now where the family of a young girl and her medical supervisors or team in Tampa are giving a live press conference because this 9-year-old girl survived a shark attack off Florida's Gulf Coast. We have a lot of Floridians living in the Carolinas, as well as people thinking about vacationing in Florida. A concern every once in a while. Shark bites are rare, but it did happen. Let's go to the very latest here out of Tampa right now at the hospital, where they are giving a press conference on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Mr. Alex is going to change his lens. Do you guys want to go ahead and stand up? We can move Leah up a little bit further here.
Again, you're watching a live, what seems to be some photo ops now after a press conference taking place live. Leah is her name. She's a 9-year-old girl who survived a shark attack off Florida's Gulf Coast. So her family and the girl deciding that it's okay to share their journey, her recovery, and the progress that's being taking place out of Tampa General Hospital. And you can see medical staff there. Medical team takes a team, to help folks out. So
I was reading it was a 6-hour surgery after it happened.
Wow. So amazing.
Yeah.
That she is smiling.
She was snorkeling off the water, and when it happened,
Oh God! I mean, it happens in shallow waters often. So you can see there. We got 5 doctors. Tampa General Hospital, the region's only level 1 adult and pediatric trauma center. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But sharing details. Love the Goldens.
Love the Golden.
Details on the life-saving care, saving her hand.
She's smiling and everything.
Her hand. So that's why she's got the cheese. Not cheese head,
thing,
but on her. That's her hand. Cute, sweet girl.
Yeah.
Oh, we wish Leah the best. Just waiting to see if there are going to be any more remarks here, that we're just catching the tail end of their press conference. What do you think,
No
Carlene?
audio.
Nada? Okay. All right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Good to see her, though. We'll get you caught up on WCNC.com. Bringing it back out here at 9:21. A good Juneteenth morning to you. I thought our state lawmakers were going to take the holiday off, Carlene.
I also thought they were.
But they are working
They are
today.
working.
This is the Senate. It's the rules and operations of the Senate hearing. So kind of benign, but they're just going to talk about some requirements for bidding, permitting, maps, also Neighbor State License Recognition Act, some other codes. Anyway, let's go ahead and listen in here live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Variance to manage what books each of hundreds of students in a school can check out. The burden these provisions will place on schools, on our teachers, and our administrators is significant. Lastly, kids also have First Amendment rights, and these rights do not stop at the schoolhouse gates. They have the right to read and learn free from censorship, and I ask you to vote no.
Thank you. Senator Paulette.
Yes, thank you. I was thinking about this while I was sitting here. I know that most of us 25 years ago wouldn't even be having this conversation. And I'm a person that kind of believes in live and let live. But when I think of gender affirming care, and I'm just going to kind of give a little example if you'll indulge me a moment. If someone has a sex change, because that's what we're talking about, they have a sex change and they commit a crime and they go to prison, it would seem like there may be certain kinds of care, health care, that needs to happen because a person has done this, technology has made it so they could have a sex change. And maybe they need certain kinds of health care. Is that considered gender affirming care? Or would they be, I mean, I'm just asking because I have no idea. Would that be considered gender affirming care if they get whatever care they need because they've had a sex change? I mean, I imagine there's certain kinds of care that it may be exclusive, which I don't know. I'm just asking.
So, Mr. Chair, so I think this may be a question for staff, Senator Lowe. So I think there's a difference between someone who has had have they had sexual transition surgery versus just, hormonal type treatment. So I believe that it's always been the law in terms of birth certificates. If you had surgery, you could change your sex on your birth certificate. But I think that if you've had gender transition surgery and you were incarcerated, I think you would be housed in the prison of your surgical sex. But I'll ask staff.
I'd be curious. Can you help us with that, Robert? Please. Sure. Come over and have a seat.
Robert Ryan, Legislative Analysis. Senator Lowe, I believe you're talking about Section 3 of the bill, which is limitation on use of state funds for gender transition procedures. It creates a new B1 in the law saying that no state funds may be used for performing gender transition surgeries. However, the last sentence I think goes to your point, which says nothing in this subsection shall be construed to prevent state funds from being used directly or indirectly to address medical complications resulting in imminent physical harm because of that. So the follow-up treatment would be carved out of that.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Further questions from the committee? Senator Mayfield?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just following up on that question, I mean, setting a standard of imminent, what was it? Immediate harm? Immediate physical harm. I mean, if someone has fully transitioned, but perhaps remains on some kind of medication to support that transition, if they are incarcerated, let's just use the example of they fully transitioned and they're in the appropriate unit for the gender that they have transitioned to, but they need ongoing medication, does this language ensure that they can receive that? Or because I mean, that's my question. That's a high standard. Or are we just in a different situation for someone who's transitioned and continues to take medication to support that transition? Would that just be like if they showed up in jail or prison with high blood pressure and they need blood pressure medication?
Mr. Ryan, do you have a clarification on that?
No, sir. I think the language just states that generally funds can't be used directly or indirectly for the performance of or furtherance of surgical gender transition procedures, including providing puberty blocking drugs. However, then it has the carve out saying that this doesn't apply to funds being used directly or indirectly to address medical complications resulting in imminent physical harm, including the treatment of any injury, disease, or disorder that has been caused by or exacerbated by previously performed or privately funded gender transition procedures. So I guess it would be a case-by-case basis.
I would say that is unless there's some other provision somewhere, that would be a gaping hole that we should try to address.
I think at least I'll talk to Senator Newton and we'll see if we can have discussions with you and the stakeholders and see what could be done.
Very well. Thank you. Further discussion from the committee. Senator Waddell?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm looking at this section, and I've heard from some of our local media specialist concerning the library book section here. And the concern is, even though you're asking librarians to do more, there's no staff available, and some of them are not even capable of providing what's being asked, such as provide ongoing public access to a searchable web-based catalog to the titles of any library books available at each school within the local school administrative unit. That's a bit much if they don't have the staff, additional help to do that. So how can that be achieved in another way? And did DPI have anything to say concerning that?
Can you tell me what page you're looking at, Senator Waddell?
I'll tell you in a minute. Page 6. Parent access to library.
So I think my understanding is that most school libraries already have public online access to their card catalogs. I mean, we're used to pulling the cards when we grew up, but.
You're saying most?
And Senator Newton may know this more than I do, but I think most libraries have an online searchable card catalog that would show what books are in the library that the public could access, but.
Keep on. You're saying many of them do not, and you're asking them to maintain this, and this requires additional staff to do a lot of what you're asking, because you're asking for a website, and what I've seen in many of the schools where they have flexibility with accountability as given by the state, they have eliminated many of the library positions, and so and use them for other things. So you're asking, let's give that some thought before we move forward with it, and see if we can't get another ruling from DPI.
I mean, just as a general thought, I would say if a school doesn't have their library books searchable by their students, they're doing them a disservice, because it's 2025. If a student has to go to the library and pick a card out of a card catalog, then that library is still in the 20th century.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience care to speak? Come up, please. Tell us who you are and what you want to talk about.
Liz Barber, Director of Policy and Advocacy, ACLU of North Carolina. Just wanted to highlight, I think what Senator Waddell is referring to is not only the requirement that they maintain an online database of all books that are available to schools and to students in the library, but that every parent can submit a list of those books that they don't want made available to their kid.
And you've been
so then all of a
watching
sudden,
the North
instead of
Carolina
kids-
Senate meet on some of their rules moving forward on this Juneteenth. Hope you're enjoying your holiday. June 19th, just after 9:30. I'm Jane Monreal. You are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, where we have live feeds, special guests, and in-depth discussion. So with that, want to talk about some of the scams we want to warn you about. Good time to think about it, because I know Carlene's getting some of these text messages.
I am.
From the DMV.
I am getting.
What is happening?
I got a text, I want to say it was last week.
Last
from
week.
the South Carolina DMV saying I have some sort of outstanding something or other, and I just like deleted it and reported it as, junk or whatever. But I was like, like, what?
What's happening? What is happening? So scammers are targeting drivers with these fake DMV notices. That's why we've brought in Juliana O'Rourke from the Better Business Bureau, fresh off a lovely vacation to the islands, man. Jamaica. All right, Juliana, in all seriousness, let's talk about some of these DMV text scams. How does this work? Walk us through.
Yeah, so we have basically been getting reports about a new scam coming from the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles. So we've reported a lot and talked a lot about these toll road scams, and it's very similar. You get a text message, but this time it's from the DMV, and they're saying that you have an outstanding unpaid ticket that you need to take care of. You need to pay it now. Otherwise, all these things could potentially happen to you. And so we want everybody to know this is a scam. It's not real. If you are curious whether or not maybe you have an outstanding ticket, reach out to your local DMV, reach out to your local police officers. They can give you that information, but don't click on anything that is sent to you, especially if you didn't ask for it.
Right. All right. So, what makes these texts look so convincing?
Yeah. So basically, the links in the text are actually .gov links, which, those are the government websites, right? They have .gov on them. So that makes it a little bit more realistic for people, but they do have a lot of things that we would consider red flags. So anything that's inciting you to pay now or, make an action immediately. Also, text messages in general, that's not how your DMV is going to contact you. That's not how states contact you. Usually it's a piece of paper, snail mail, and things like that. And so just getting an unsolicited text message from anybody in general, we always encourage people not to click on those links. If you do, basically they're phishing scams. They're looking for your information. They're looking for your banking information. If they can get both, they've just hit the jackpot. And so we're always encouraging people, be very careful, be on the lookout. Like I said, if you're not sure if you have an unpaid ticket or something you want to actually look into, go outside of that text message, don't click on the link, go do your own research, figure out whether or not it's legitimate. Most of the times though, I know in my experience, I have gotten them from Ohio. That's where I grew up, but I haven't driven in Ohio and I don't know how long, because even when I go home to visit family, I fly. So I have no driving really history there. So I know for me, if I get something, especially out of state, it's not legitimate.
Right, out of country, out of state.
Yeah, and I think sometimes curiosity gets the best of people.
Totally.
And so they're wanting to click on things, see what this is, but avoid that curiosity because it will lead you down a pretty bad path.
All right, any advice for people who have already clicked this link?
Yeah, so if you have clicked on the link, I would definitely double check all your information, log into your bank accounts, maybe cancel whatever card that you were using. Just protect yourself. So do everything you can. You can contact the credit bureaus to see, has anybody tried to take out a loan or something in your name. So definitely do your due diligence behind the scenes just to be sure that if you did click on that link, if you did put in any of your information, you can try to protect yourself a little bit.
All right. And always good to go to the BBB for extra
I actually
information.
found the text. It's.
Oh, what does it say?
It says our records show that as of today, you still have one unpaid traffic ticket.
Yeah.
And according to South Carolina State Administrative Regulation 15C-16, they try to throw.
Very official.
They try to throw numbers and big words and
exactly. And so
scary
actually,
words.
we also want people to report that to us. It helps us, come on shows like this and talk about things that are going on. So people can report that to bbb.org/scam tracker. We have our scam tracker tool. It's how people let us know what's going on, screenshots included, and that allows us to build articles, put them on our website, and inform our communities.
All right. And coming from straight experience, Carmen, thanks for sharing that. The other scam we want to talk about, Juliana, is about online shopping. That's a huge thing as well. Forever and ever now, people are deciding to shop more online, but scammers are exploiting our trust there. What is this troubling tactic?
Yeah, so we all know tariffs have been a big thing, right? They've been in the news a lot. They're a little bit everywhere at this point. And so one of the new scams that we've been seeing is it's kind of a ripoff of the online purchase scam, where maybe you see an ad on social media or a sponsored ad on your search engine and you click on it. The website looks legitimate enough. You you place your order, you get the confirmation email, but then it's like a week, several weeks, a month, your product never comes. You reach out to customer service and they give you this excuse that your package is stuck because of the tariffs, or it's stuck in customs, or all these kind of different excuses in that realm. So those are going to be really big red flags. Essentially what the scammers are doing is just trying to put you off, whether it's the refund request, They may even ask you, hey, you need to pay us more money because your package is stuck and to have it released. That's a big red flag. I think most of us know when you're shopping online and you make that purchase, that's it. You don't need to pay anything further from there. So it's basically just a version of the online purchase scams that we usually talk about. It's just a little bit of a twist on it. So anything you would look out for a normal online purchase scam, you'd want to look out for here. So first and foremost, ads on social media or sponsored ads, they can come from scammers. So be very careful when you click on those ads, just like when you click on any link. And then once you get to that site, do a little bit of inspection. Is the grammar correct? Are there any misspellings? You can reverse Google image search images on the site to see where else they appear. So if they're on another, ad site or something along those lines, you can see where it is all over the place. If a price is too good to be true, it's because it probably is. And then if you are shopping online, we always encourage people to pay with a credit card. Don't use, the peer-to-peer payment systems. At least you have some financial protection and backing from a fraud perspective if you use a credit card.
I mean, these ads, what makes them, I don't click on when it says sponsored ad. I do not click that at all. But I mean, what makes them so convincing as well? Very alluring.
So I think, in 2025, we live in a world where ads are served to you everywhere, but people are on social media so frequently that a lot of companies legitimately advertise on social media sites, but with that comes a lot of scammers that do too. And so, you're scrolling and you're constantly served different ads for different products. And sometimes, especially when they say, this price seems to be way better than you can find it anywhere else, it's enticing. You want to believe it's real because you want that product for that great price. So you click on it and then now you're going down this path of potentially putting yourself in a bad position. So if you see something online, I always recommend to people, go search for it elsewhere. See if you can find that same deal without having to click through on the ad. Or if it's an ad that you're really interested in, hover over it if you're on a desktop or a computer so you can actually see where it's linking to. Does the link make sense? Is it the name of the company or is it just a bunch of letters, numbers? Doesn't make sense, doesn't actually match up with the company you're looking at. So those are some of the things that we would recommend doing before clicking on anything.
All right, so if someone does realize that they've paid money for a package that's being held, any way to recover that money?
Unfortunately, obviously if you have a credit card and you use that credit card, you can report that as a fraudulent charge. But if you use a peer-to-peer payment system, then it's probably unlikely that you'll get your money back.
Right.
You're obviously not going to get any kind of a product. It's, it doesn't take that long to get those products, if you will. They're not stuck in customs. It's not due to a tariff. So again, if this happens to you, please report it to us at bbb.org/scam tracker. We really want to know if this is, happening to people here in our community. We get reports nationwide, but it's always great when we can see, hey, it's actually happening here. So don't think that it can't potentially happen to you.
Yeah, I mean, and these scammers are getting more savvy about knowing the headlines, linking in a tariff scare and targeting you
They
that
do a
way.
great job. Yeah, and we want to make sure people aren't scared, but that they're educated. We want to make sure that we're educating consumers on how to shop safely and smartly versus being afraid all the time. If you have the knowledge and you're armed with it, then it's okay.
Does this make you feel a little bit more, insecure about your shopping online experience?
I think for me, it just makes me do a little bit more research, a little bit more due diligence before I actually make a purchase. Ask your friends and family, hey, has anybody ever bought from this site before? What was your experience? Because I know, especially as a woman, you see so many clothing shops online.
Oh, tempted all the time.
Yeah, and some of the stuff looks so cute, and you're like, but is it real? I don't know.
Right.
So, sometimes you can ask friends and family, hey, have you ordered from here? Or maybe you want to take the risk and order yourself. I can't say that I typically do that just because I don't want to get my money taken from me that I work hard for. But yeah, definitely do your research to see. Also, you can look to see like, hey, this particular company, customer reviews, this particular company, scam. You can search all of that stuff. It's at your fingertips, especially with AI. It's so easy to look these things up.
Yeah. All right, we could use AI to our advantage.
Yes. Yeah.
Juliana O'Rourke from the Better Business Bureau in from, like I said, vacation out this weekend for her birthday.
Yes.
It's a good life.
Yeah, it's a great couple weeks.
Birthday.
Thank you.
Happy early birthday to you.
you.
Enjoy that time coming up and appreciate you coming in on Juneteenth.
course.
Good information there.
Yeah, happy to share.
Absolutely. Here in the Live Impact studio on Live Impact News. And what, Carlene, do we have anything? Also this weekend is Club World Cup.
FIFA Club World Cup. It's a lot of words, but it's a big deal.
Yes, not to be confused with the World Cup,
yes,
as we know it.
Yes.
That's in 2026.
Correct.
FIFA Club World Cup, and our Miles Harris checked things out with the very latest. It's going to be a wonderful Sunday at Bank of America. This is what he covered on WCNC Charlotte.
Charlotte is scheduled to host 4 FIFA Club World Cup matches at Bank of America Stadium here, starting on Sunday. But questions remain about federal immigration enforcement and their presence at this game and whether they'll be part of those security measures. As Bank of America Stadium gets set for world-class soccer this weekend, the talk isn't about the potential play on the pitch.
It gives me a lot of concern about the attendees who largely will be coming from a variety of countries around the world,
but rather the security measures. The uncertainty stems from a now deleted social media post by U.S. Customs and Border Protection earlier this month. The agency initially posted that it would be suited and booted, ready to provide security for the first round of games, but later removed that message without explanation.
World soccer is an internationally renowned sport, and I'm excited for it to be coming to the Queen City, but under the context of this administration, it does give me pause because I wonder what are their thoughts as they see what's unfolding in the United States right now.
The post sparked mixed emotions for Charlotte soccer fans like Jorge Gonzalez, who plans to be at the match on Sunday.
Soccer is very embedded into the Latin community, and it's tough because there's people that want to see, their team play, but they have to be careful.
And so that's what we're trying to do is say, hey, let's look at things differently.
Community advocates like Rusty Price, the founder and CEO of Camino, are emphasizing the importance of allowing people to enjoy the international soccer tournament without fear.
I'm very saddened by what I see, how we're dealing with immigration right now in a general sense. And I'm hoping that this isn't going to hurt the economy of Charlotte, which affects all of us, right? Just as a tactic to scare people.
And we did reach out to both ICE and CMPD to learn more about those security measures, but have not yet heard back. In Uptown, I'm Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, other concerns surrounding FIFA Club World Cup coming this weekend, as the Queen City is certainly to be a center of a lot of attention and a lot of folks visiting us for the first time to enjoy that first match here in Charlotte. All right, again, it is Juneteenth as we come up on 9:45. You are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We appreciate you downloading the app to your Roku, Fire, or Apple TV, where you can get this special content in longer form. With today being Juneteenth, we wanted to replay Nick Sturdivant's interview with the CEO of Greenwood Golf, because there are some activities that are going to be happening this weekend and to commemorate Juneteenth. This is what their conversation was like on a previously recorded interview on Live Impact News. Thanks for watching WCNC Plus.
All right, so let's switch gears. Let's come back home. So we have a guest here. We have a live guest, and he has a unique story. I got a chance to talk to him as he was coming in. He's a Notre Dame grad. St. Louis? East St. I'm sorry. Let me. Can I start all over again? I'm gonna start all over again. He's a Notre Dame grad from East St. Louis.
Yes.
Has a passion for not only golf, but a passion for the community.
Yes.
And you put that together, and you have Greenwood Golf that doesn't only promote diversity, but pays homage to the past.
Yes, exactly.
And to our history.
Exactly.
It's Chris Word. You recognize him. You recognize Chris Word.
Yes.
Greenwood Golf.
Hope so.
How are you doing today?
Doing well. Doing well. Honored to be here, and my condolences for the Emmanuel 9 as well.
For those who don't know, I feel like I gave a pretty good intro. Greenwood Golf. Well, how would you describe Greenwood Golf?
Greenwood Golf, short and sweet, is about self-sufficiency. And this is what I mean by that. When you have opportunities or you see issues within your community, you figure out a way to find solutions. So I pay homage to Greenwood, District of Tulsa, Oklahoma in that way. And kind of going back to the past, when you had no other way, they figured it out and they became self-sufficient. So when I look at the golf community, that's what I wanted to do as well. We want to see diversity in the sport. We want to see diversity at the highest levels, the PGA Tours, the LIV, the collegiate scholarships. We have to do something as a community to create those opportunities, and that's what spawned the idea.
You've been in the Charlotte area for about 10 years.
Yes.
What attracted you to golf?
It's been a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. I feel like I know what you mean.
Yes. So I got into golf, truth be told, my mother got me in the Tiger Woods era in the late 90s, summer program in East St. Louis at Grand Maroc Golf Club. She would drop me and my brother off. We would play, hit balls, and you put it down, right? East St. Louis, inner city, we played basketball, we played football, we raced in the streets. Those were things that we do. Then you get to college, and then golf becomes that, you want to go play around the golf? Sure. So I picked the clubs back up in college at Notre Dame, and then it just carried me through. It became, I caught the bug early, and it became that thing that I just couldn't let go. And then as you begin to age and travel, it's hard to find where the best pickup basketball places are.
Yeah,
then you realize I'm not as young as I used to be.
The knees and
Exactly. So then golf became that outlet, and it was easier to find a golf course in any city that I was in and where I could play basketball, and it just stuck.
I mean, so it's one thing to have a passion, but it's another thing to start a company.
Yes.
But okay, when did when did the idea come about, and then when did the action follow?
Great question. So in Charlotte, here we are, been 10 years now, but about 3-4 years at that point, I'm playing golf every weekend, no children, wife, and it was like, I'm gonna go play golf this weekend.
Right.
So I competed on the amateur level and like Golf Week Tour, and would just run into people, see people, be inspired by people that I saw on the course. But what we talk about a lot is, I wish I would have played when I was younger. I wish I had the resources or the tools or the exposure to play when I was younger. COVID happened. We couldn't do anything but play golf. That was probably the only thing you could do with other people at that period of time. So golf got another, what I call renaissance in the sport. That's where a lot of people went to for their exercise, their outlet, and you just see it take off. So the idea happened when you sit down and you think, if I want to build, create, or help youngsters get into the game, well, we need finances. Well, you could build a company based on like asking companies for money. A lot of nonprofits do that. Or you can create a company that sells a product that funds all the ideas. So I started Greenwood Golf with the idea of becoming the first black-owned golf distribution company.
Yeah.
And we have a golf ball, the Greenwood Golf Ball, which if you're available or interested, greenwood.golf, excuse me. If you're in Charlotte, it's at most of the public golf courses here in Charlotte to purchase. The idea is you need the golf ball to play the sport. If the community picks up the golf ball, uses the golf ball, now we're starting to make money, and now we can support and build and get youngsters into the game and create these things. So instead of me going to your Wells Fargo and Bank of America and saying, give me money to fund my idea, community, self-sufficiency, support the product, and we'll build it ourselves.
Oh, wow. So using that product to help fund the events and the dreams of the next generation, right?
Exactly. That is the vision right there.
Because I've seen some of the stories that we've covered with you guys and the initiative. I mean, you guys do great work. You're doing great work.
Thank you.
What is that feeling like when you, golf is not an easy sport.
It's not.
But when you see those young people or people first picking up that golf club and it starts to click.
Yes.
For you, what is that like?
It is it's exciting, it's inspiring, and I'll tell you one of the things, golf is like a personality trait. Like if golfers have that, because if you think about it, like it's the one sport where you get the immediate response that You did that wrong. And you did that very wrong, right? So you can play basketball and pass the ball to somebody else to take the shot. You still win the ring. You can still celebrate. But in golf, you have to hit the ball. You have to hit the putt. So it's the constant feedback of self-improvement. And when you see that person get it, and not only get that part, but they want to learn more, they dig into it more, they catch the bug, you can almost tell kind of the trajectory of where they're going to go, because then they start to reflect on their own personal development. And that's why I think the golfer is, again, that personality trait, because you can look at the person next to you and say, it's all right, man, next shot. Or I know exactly where you've been. Or it's okay, let's have a talk, because we relate to failure. We constantly fail every time we're on the golf course. But when you can talk about improvement and how to actually take action to it, it's a beautiful thing.
What have you learned the most? Before we get into the event, I know you have an upcoming event, but what have you learned the most through the game of golf, through your company?
Yes, a lot in that. So I'll add this thing. A couple days ago was Father's Day.
Happy belated Father's Day.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had the best Father's Day ever. I actually did a video on Instagram.
Oh, now you got to tell us what you did for Father's Day before you answer that question.
36 holes of golf.
Oh, I'm sorry, 36?
36. I left the house at 6:30. I played 18 holes at Catawba Creek in Gastonia. Drove past the house, stopped, got my cars, did my hellos, got my kisses, my hugs. Then I went down to Stonebridge and played with another group of guys at 2 o'clock, and I got back home at 7. But the beautiful thing about it is I was on that golf course the whole day like a kid. Like, I get to play golf. It's Father's Day. Oh, I get to play golf. It's Father's Day. And I joke about it, but when I walked back into the house, I was so happy. I was just happy. It was just being able to play the sport guilt-free. And we talked noise, and we put a couple dollars down, and gave each other a hard time. But just being on the course, and it was the best Father's Day ever. Ate food, went straight to sleep, and I ain't feel bad about it at all. It's Father's Day. So what I learned about myself is that failure will happen, and how do you deal with that? You can get mad and walk away. You can try to blame the person next to you, the noise on the road, the little leaf that landed in your way, the squirrel that caused a distraction, or you can figure it out and try again. And you got 17 holes or 18 holes or 9 holes, whatever's left, to keep trying and keep getting better. That's the biggest thing that I learned. So then when you come off the golf course and you look at life, you realize that it's not perfect. Things are going to happen, right? Somebody's going to say something. Something's going to happen in your day that you didn't expect. It's okay. Figure it out. You'll be all right. Keep going. So that's one of those life lessons that kind of come out of golf, on top of the relationships that you build with people on the course.
Man, Chris Word with the word, man. With the word.
You can tell there's been a lot of self-reflection on the golf course.
36 holes.
It's a lot of good and bad. It's a lot of good and bad.
Juneteenth.
Yes.
You have an event this weekend, Saturday.
Yes.
In Matthews, right?
In Matthews, at Emerald Lake Golf Course. So golf has several different layers. You have the course play on course, and then you actually have like tournament play. And then the charity tournament is its own little layer. So my idea with Juneteenth, around the time where it became a federal holiday, let's invite all of the golf clubs around Charlotte. There's so many different golf groups, official, non-official, that get together, bring the community out, self-sufficiency. Let's raise money for the next generation of golfers. Everyone thinks about First Tee as you want to give to the youth about golf, give to First Tee, but there's the Golf Fund, there's a Perfect Swing, there's Johnson C. Smith University's golf team here in Charlotte. They need financing, they need funding. So if you love golf and you're into the sport and you want to do something to support the next generation, play in our Juneteenth event, have a great time. Like we pull out all the stops. I'll drop a little secret. During our registration, we're going to have a classic car show as well. So while people are they're mingling, they're warming up. There's going to be, I got a 1970 Chevelle. There's going to be just all types of cars out there.
Wow.
Just to create another another layer of interest into the event, but we're pulling out all the stops. So that's our big event for the community.
How's it grown since the first year? It's year 5 for it, right?
It's year 5. The first time I did it was 2020, and it was really just me sending out a text message, hey, let's do something to honor Juneteenth.
Yeah.
So we had an event, and then the group of us with our significant others went to Ruth Chris for dinner, and we sat down and just talked about where could we take this thing. Now, if you know me, you know all I need is just, I catch the thought. I'm one of those people where I catch the thought, and 30 minutes later, I'm like, here's a whole business plan.
Right.
If you're serious, we can really get this done. So we sat down and we talked about it, and I just ran with it. And the next year we grew to about 40, the next year to about 80. We had galas for 2 years in Concord. And this year we're doing a day party at Emerald Lake as well. So just trying to bring the community out. A lot of people don't feel comfortable on the course. It's like if I don't play, there's no reason for me to be there. So come to Juneteenth just to hang out and get a feel for it, and that may intrigue you to just trying to pick up a club and hit a ball.
Oh man, that's I love that because again, people feel intimidated when it comes to certain things, trying new things. And so this is a window to maybe you want to swing a golf club, maybe you want to do 18 holes instead of 36.
Instead of 36, right. It's not for the faint at heart. Right. It's not for the faint at heart.
You're a pro at it.
Hurting just thinking about it.
Right. I was like, wait, 36?
That's a lot of
golf. And I got to mention this because I did my research before I let you go. Chris Word, not only the CEO of Greenwood Golf, he was named Entrepreneur of the Year by African American Golfers Digest back in 2023.
In 2023, yes.
Man.
Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That spawned out of the idea of the golf ball, right?
Yeah.
We started the golf ball really trying to figure out a way in this space. You have the Titans, your Titleist, your Bridgestone, your TaylorMades. How can we do this thing? And that golf ball came up, and we eventually became USGA conforming status, which means a PGA player could play it. They may not, but they could.
Yeah.
And then bring it out to the community. Let's really try to do this thing. I'm not a talker a lot. Like, I don't just want to talk about the idea. Let's try.
Right.
So start the golf ball, and then the African American Golfers Digest magazine recognized me as the Entrepreneur of the Year, and I got some other things up my sleeve that I'm working on before the end of this year.
And folks can support the website?
Thank you for asking. Greenwood.golf. Greenwood.golf. All of our events. I do blog posts to kind of keep the conversation going. And I'll tell you this, another little thing. Our goal this year, 2025, is to create an endowment for Johnson C. Smith University.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
We are setting out a financial goal to get this thing established. So if you can't play Saturday or can't make it and you want to support $20, $5, $10, whatever you have goes a long way to building out this legacy for the next generation. And Greenwood.golf is where you can find that information.
Will you come back once you hit the goal?
I will come back with bells on.
Bells, okay. I appreciate you, man. Chris Word with the word. I love that. I just created a new segment. Support Greenwood Golf. Not only making Charlotte proud, but making East St. Louis proud.
Oh, my man. I got to take you to play golf.
There you go. Hey, I've never played golf before, so hey.
Let's do it.
Chris Word, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's Chris Word here. And you can check out that interview shortly. It'll be on the website. It'll be on YouTube. Hang around. We're going to chat with you for a little bit.
All right, that was a great interview to see again with Nick Sturtevant and Chris Wood from Greenwood. It is 10 o'clock on this Thursday morning here in Charlotte. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, and it is Juneteenth as well. This morning, right now, we want to talk about a foundation, a local foundation happening with an event coming up in the fall. But it really started when this family faced a child's cancer diagnosis. I can't imagine, but I would think that the world changes forever. So this morning, 2 parents joining us right now who have turned their loss into a mission of hope after they lost their 3-year-old Benjamin to a rare brain cancer called medulloblastoma. Molly and Zach Poole created the Benjamin the Brave Foundation, really to help support other families facing this devastating disease. So they are here. Molly and Zach, thank you again. Thank you so much for coming in. Let's talk about Benjamin. What kind of little boy was he?
So thank you for having us. We're so excited to be here today to talk about Benjamin and the impact he's had through our foundation. Benjamin was our first baby. Like everything you can imagine with your firstborn. He was gentle, he was joyful, he was wise beyond his years. My sister used to say, he was an old soul in a tiny body. He had this presence about him that, made strangers want to stop and smile at him and talk to him. He really was just such a happy boy. He made all feel right in this world. And so then when he was 2 years old, something was off. It was in the height of COVID. It was the summer after everything shut down for COVID. And he started having weird eye movements in the morning. And so it was a blur of hospital visits and ER visits and doctor's appointments trying to figure out what it was. Wasn't COVID, wasn't a virus, it wasn't a seizure. We were just coming to a bunch of dead ends with no answers until we ended up in the ER one night and they did an MRI and they found a brain tumor. And the brain tumor was located in, the worst possible spot it could be in. It was near his brainstem, so they needed to remove it the next day because any pressure on the brainstem could kill you. So within 12 hours, we're hearing brain tumor, it could be cancer. Your 2-year-old needs a 6-hour brain surgery the very next morning. I mean, we're just, panic mode. We're just reacting. And so.
It's got to be surreal.
It is, yeah.
In the moment.
It was kind of his, the surgery went well. So that was great. But then, what came after that was worse. It was his diagnosis. They found out it was medulloblastoma, but one of the most aggressive subtypes of medulloblastoma. And so from then, we were just panic mode in a rush. We didn't have time. We were racing against the clock at that point. Do you want to go into?
Yeah, I think Molly said an accurate description of Benjamin. He was a joyous boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had to move quickly, and Benjamin was emergently intubated at one of the local hospitals here, and they pretty much told us that, hey, we're going to administer an emergency round of chemotherapy, and if this works, he may survive. If it does not work, prepare for him not to survive this. And so it did work. He did come off of the breathing trials. He remained strong, steadfast. And, collectively, Molly and I decided we rounded all the troops that we could amongst family, friends, and said, hey, where is the place that we need to get our son? And we flew him to DC Children's Hospital, and we lived there for almost 7 months. The chemotherapy, multiple brain surgeries throughout this time, multiple rounds of intense chemotherapy, and a miracle happened. He was in radiographic remission at the end of that tenure, and then we came back here to Charlotte, and Atrium Levine's was our home base hospital here, and they took excellent care of Benjamin. And after that, we were told to go through a monoclonal antibody therapy for Benjamin to treat him, to try to give him the best outcome, and unfortunately his cancer relapsed, and we had to go through intense radiation therapy for him, and unfortunately he passed away of the disease. But we had excellent care from our doctors, from our staff, throughout the Carolinas, through Columbus, Ohio, through Washington, D.C. We can't thank them enough, and that was the inspiration for what we're trying to do now.
You moved around so much in such little time, and that roller coaster ride as well for Benjamin. How did he handle the treatment and this journey from finding out what happened?
He was 2, so he still couldn't really. I mean, he talked, but he was always very. I mean, he went through 6 rounds of high-dose chemo, so they said that alone, the chemo could bring him to the brink of death, not even the cancer. It's just the chemo is so hard on his body. So that's why we pretty much lived in the hospital for like a full 6 to 7 months. I don't think he ever really got out for more than 1 or 2 days during those times. But he, he always tried to play. He was always singing and dancing, and of course, half the time he didn't feel great, but he tried so hard, and that's just the beauty in kids, right? That's all he knew at the time, and he was like, I'm just gonna embrace this. I have my parents, and
He liked golf, it looks like?
Yes, we played golf in the hospital.
Top golf
we brought
as well.
in so many different things in that hospital to try to make it, as fun as possible in the worst possible setting that you could be in.
What a sweet, sweet spirit. And what inspired you then to start Benjamin the Brave?
Well, I think for us, when Molly and I got the diagnosis, we came from backgrounds where we had, employers that stood behind us, and we had, good jobs, good health insurance. We had a unit in our families that were very, very supportive, and we had the ability to travel and to do these things. And frankly, there's a lot of families that get diagnosed with medulloblastoma that don't have those same opportunities potentially. And so what we try to do is work directly with the social workers at the hospital. If they have a family that gets diagnosed with this disease, they reach out to us directly and say, hey, this family may be in need of long-term Airbnb housing. This family may be behind on a mortgage. This family may need XYZ for food cards, gas cards, etc. And we try to provide that to them quickly because, throughout this process with Molly and I, we found out that, sometimes there's not quick access to, funds, et cetera, that you may need. And so we pride ourselves as an all-volunteer organization, and we get those funds to those folks quickly, and we get them in the hands of the social workers who know those patients best.
I mean, there are so many things that we are unprepared for, right, Molly, as far as expenses when something like this hits not only your child, but really the whole family, an extended family.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're moving your whole family if you are, don't have the resources locally, and you do have to move to fight for your child and get the treatment that they need. You need, you want, there's, temporary housing that's available, but if you want to live in like a house setting with Airbnbs, you need help. And you still have to pay your mortgage at home, and you still have the expenses at home. Luckily, it was just, with Benjamin, it was just us. I was pregnant with my oldest daughter at the time, going through it, but we didn't have to move, kids and everything, so I couldn't imagine doing that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
On top of it all, so.
Yeah, it sounds like you already have a good support system, but there's only so much that can take care of. And so what kind of initiatives then does Benjamin the Brave Foundation support?
So we found out, through the hard way of Benjamin getting this brain cancer, that funding for pediatric cancer, federal funding, is limited. I think last time I checked, it was 4% of federal funds go to all pediatric cancers, not even brain tumors specifically. That makes it rely heavily on foundations and nonprofits raising money to fund this research that we need to hopefully, find a cure for Benjamin's disease. So there won't be another Benjamin, right? So that's what we do. We try to, we have our big fundraiser at the end of the year or in the fall to raise money to send. Last year, I think we sent some money to, or I know we sent some money to Atrium Health to fund 5 brain tumor samples for them to start researching. To hopefully, along with helping the families, but to hopefully find some sort of step in the right direction
Really,
towards his.
I mean, not even paying it forward. It's just even so much bigger than the family.
Yeah, and that's all we can do,
hospital.
like our kids are our life. Benjamin's not here anymore, so if we can channel, all that love and that energy that we give to Benjamin if we were here, to helping other families and finding some sort of cure to his awful disease. It's all we can do, right? And
Yeah, tell us about the event then that's coming up here, Zach. What can people do to get involved?
So September 26th and 27th is our flagship fundraiser event. We do a silent auction on Friday the 26th. It'll be hosted at Carolina Lakes Golf Club in Indian Land, South Carolina. And then on the 27th, we have our foursome golf scramble event, and it's open to 32 teams, and usually we fill those spots. So you can go to www.benjaminthebrave.org and get the sign-up information for that. And yeah, it's a great event. Everyone has a good time. The local community's involved. I'm proud to say this year, and every year we get local community leaders and sponsors involved. This year's title sponsor is my employer, Chandler Volta Injury Law, and they have just been paramount in believing in me and Benjamin's story, and really wanting to get out there and ensure that we have a great event. And we have flag sponsors, pin sponsors, everything that you can think of. But, getting out there and playing the event is, in my opinion, it's just a great experience for everyone, because it's for such a good cause.
Right. Such a good cause, and the community involved, and I would imagine really, really good positive energy, right?
It's such positive energy and experience whenever we're out there, and like Molly said, we don't get to protect, love, and hold Benjamin here on earth, but with the foundation, that's really what we try to cultivate. In that we really believe in what we're doing, and really trying to make a positive impact on these families and their children's lives.
Molly, you said you were pregnant with your eldest daughter. You have 2 daughters,
Yes,
right?
we
Both
have
of
2
you have
daughters.
2 daughters now. They did not get to know Benjamin, but I would imagine you have him introduced to the rest of the family,
yes.
right? What do you tell them?
My oldest, we actually had her the same day that Benjamin had to go into the hospital for his last round of chemo. So we had Madeline, and then Zach took Benjamin after a few hours after we had her. So Madeline did know him. I think he passed away when Madeline was 8 months old. So she acts like she remembers him, but of course she doesn't. But she loves saying, like she has, her big guardian angel brother, and talks fondly of that.
So sweet.
So yeah, we keep his name very alive in our house, and I feel like we're always talking about the signs he sends us. We think cardinals are Benjamin, so every cardinal we see, Madeline's like, "There's Benjamin."
I saw Benjamin the other day.
Right?
Yes. That's great.
So yeah, they know very well. It feels like he's his presence is still with us, shining down.
Well, I mean, Molly and Zach, I was just saying to you off here as I was researching, I was just booing my eyes out yesterday, but I barely kept it together, so thank you for coming in and sharing Benjamin, your mission with Benjamin the Brave Foundation, and how you're honoring him through your mission. So fabulous work. Again, BenjaminTheBrave.org.
Yes,
right? The event, September 26th and 27th. Which golf course?
Carolina Lakes Golf Course in Indian Land, South Carolina.
Okay. If I'm not doing anything that day, if I'm not here in the podcast studio, Live Impact Studio, maybe I get involved there and swing a couple
That would be great.
in Benjamin's honor.
Thank you. That would be great.
Zach and Molly Poole coming in here to the Live Impact Studio. Again, we're honored for you to share your story, and Benjamin's as well.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Look at this. One more sweet picture of a little Benji there. Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys. We did it, everybody. And we're going to put this story on WCNC.com. Also share where you can get involved. Again, BenjaminTheBrave.org. Right now, we want to go to a live picture of Juneteenth events. This is happening, Carlene, where is this? In Dallas or D.C.? Dallas. Okay. This is Dallas. Let's go ahead and listen in here. No audio? Okay. Obviously, they're having an event, a parade, a walk of sorts in the middle of the city there in Dallas to commemorate Juneteenth. A lot of people do have the holiday off today. Let's go back to our state senators. They are in a meeting. There's another state Senate Judiciary Committee. All right, let's go here live now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
The department. And so at the appropriate time, I'll make a motion that this committee do recommend her for confirmation, and just be interested in hearing any other comments that other committee members may have.
Yeah. Chair recognizes Senator Britt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I've been fairly clear about some of my concerns. One of my largest concerns is when someone is picked to lead an agency that has zero institutional experience inside that agency. One of the things that made Secretary Ishii and some of the previous secretaries do so well is they actually had that institutional knowledge, or at least would surround themselves with folks that had the institutional knowledge. One of my main concerns has been the jail backlog that we've had since Interim Secretary Dismukes has been there. Our jail transfer backlog from February to now has gone from 0 to about 837. What that means is your county jails are holding people for longer than what they should be. That means they're on your county budget, they're on your county health care instead of being on the state's health care for people who have had judgments in it. It also causes folks to not get that gain time that they would if they would be shipped out on an earlier date. So that backlog's a major problem. I've gotten calls from all my sheriffs about it and from sheriffs across the state. I'm not sure how it got so bad so quickly. I hope to see it improve, but again, I do think that Interim Secretary Dismukes is highly intelligent, competent, and a hard worker. She does seem from the interview I had whenever we were doing the DPS Secretary position, she does have the ability to problem solve and go in and fix things in different areas that may not necessarily be in areas she has that institutional background knowledge in, but still have concerns. But out of respect of the governor's pick, I would join in Senator Daniels' motion.
Thank you, Senator Britt. Other comments or from the committee members? I've seen Senator Grafstein's light is on. Senator Grafstein, you're recognized.
You just briefly, I just wanted to thank Secretary Dismukes. I wanted to thank the committee chairs. I think we'll be making the right decision. I appreciate the motion for confirmation, and I understand the concerns. I think what we have seen with Secretary Dismukes in terms of her background and the answers that she gave here is that she clearly is somebody who knows how to go in and problem solve. And I appreciate the concern that you don't have somebody who's come up through a system, but I think that sometimes that gives you a fresh set of eyes. And I think she's really well positioned to make some of the changes that I think we all understand may need to be made. And I would just add, I do hope, to Senator Britt's point, that we will give her the resources that she needs to staff the. We have plenty of beds in our prisons. We don't have people to staff them, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, the ability to hire. And I think she's doing a good job bringing down the vacancy rates. But I hope we continue to give her the resources that she needs to do that. So I appreciate the motion and look forward to supporting.
Thank you, Senator. Other comments from the committee members? Going once, going twice. So I'm going to make a comment before we adopt the motion or before we vote on the motion. I'm going to echo a little bit of what my co-chairs have said. I tried to count up last night how many years between the three of us we have in dealing with or oversight of the Department of Adult Corrections, or what is now the Department of Adult Corrections. And I'm lost somewhere between 25 and 30 years combined, because I'm not exactly sure when Senator Britt got involved in JPS. But it's not important. The point I'm making is that between the three of us, while we don't work in that department, we've certainly been dealing with it from an oversight, from funding, from budgeting. I appreciate the full chairs recognizing the recommendations that the three chairs here have made about how we need to put more resources into the Department of Adult Corrections, specifically as to salaries. Hope that when we eventually get a budget, that it will reflect that. That was long before this nomination came along. It will be an issue going forward, no matter who the nominee, who is the secretary. But I have some serious reservations. I've struggled with this quite a bit. I don't want to repeat what my co-chairs have said, but you know, the sign of a good leader is someone who knows how to listen and someone who knows how to seek good advice. And I'll just say this, I'm not yet confident that that's what we have in this nominee. I've tried to watch. It's been a while since Ms. Dismukes has been the interim, and there have been a number of moments where, at least from what I can see and what I observe, I hope for better. And I'll just say that if this nomination does go forward in terms of Ms. Dismukes being confirmed, I hope she will prove me wrong in my concerns. But this is a very serious position, and I'm not going to repeat everything that's been said, but I want the public, I want Ms. Dismukes, I want the members to understand how difficult and I wish I was more confident and more enthusiastic about this nomination, and I'll leave it at that. If there's no further comments from the committee members, we have a motion from Senator Daniel. He moves to recommend the adoption of Senate Resolution 767 with a referral to Senate Select Committee on Nominations. Is that your motion, sir?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The nomination will be referred to Senate Committee on Nominations. Thank you. Moving on our agenda, we're going to go down to the bottom, stay at the bottom. We're going to go to House Bill 620. And I believe that there is an amendment for this. Is that right? Yes. And are you pinch hitting for Representative Stevens, Senator Britt?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Senator Britt's recognized to send forth an amendment. I believe the members have a copy of the amendment? Okay. Just want to make sure we're moving fast. Senator Britt, you're recognized to explain the amendment, and it is, am I correct, sir? It is ACN 24 version 1.
That is correct. The amendment would authorize Conference of District Attorneys to authorize any expenditures or fund adjustments appropriated by the General Assembly for the Conference of DAs and the Office of the District Attorneys to create internships, trainings, and pay for additional services. AOC would disperse conference expenditures within 45 days and provide quarterly funds reported to the conference. I think I was contacted by pretty much every member on this committee before this hearing today about this amendment. They had heard of it and supported it and asked if we were going to run it. So this is the amendment.
All right. Questions from the committee about the amendment? Not seeing any. All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill as amended is back before us. Senator Britt, you going to handle that from here, or are we going to
Nothing further. Nothing further than what we discussed.
All right. Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the committee before we recognize somebody from the audience? Okay. At this time, I have Carl McClam from the AOC signed up to speak on the bill. Carl, you're recognized for about 2 minutes. Think you can handle it for that long?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Carl McClam, Legislative Director with the Administrative Office of the Courts. Well, this is a career first. I'm now opposed to my own bill. The DA budget amendment potentially makes CODA the only division of a state agency with independent authority over its spending. I've worked in multiple state agencies. It would be like giving air quality at DEQ control of their own budget. The amendment is to help CODA avoid paying for operating expenses incurred for the benefit of DA offices statewide. AOC already provides office space, HR, procurement, fiscal support, and technology support at no direct cost to CODA to support DA offices throughout the state. Budget special provisions generally go through the appropriations process and committee. AOC has been a good partner, but these provisions present serious concerns of CODA's fiscal priorities. Per a 2021 UNC School of Government report, CODA benefits from economies of scale of goods and services provided by AOC that are not directly charged to CODA. This amendment would shift the cost burden of expenses incurred on behalf of CODA to other judicial groups, predominantly the clerks of court, that will result in a reduction of services statewide. For those reasons, we are opposed to this amendment and are now opposed to our own agency bill. Happy to answer questions, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Carl. We appreciate it. Are there further questions from the committee about the bill as amended? All right. If not, we have a motion from Senator Britt for yes. Senator Britt moves for favorable report to H620 as amended, rolled into a new PCS, unfavorable to the original, with referral to Senate rules. And I would add to that, if you're agreeable, for the staff to make technical conforming changes. All right. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Thank you, Senator Britt. Thank you, Carr. I'm sure we'll be talking more. All right. Get my papers out of the way. Are we ready on 96? Who's running 96? Representative Tyson's bill. Somebody here to stand in for Representative Tyson?
That would be me.
Oh, okay. Senator Moffitt. That's the amendment. All right. Senator Moffitt is recognized to handle House Bill 96. And I believe there's an amendment, isn't there, Senator Moffitt? And Senator Britt, do you move to amend the bill?
Yes.
And this would be, Senator Britt moves to amend the bill, and this is ACE-96, ACE-96, version 6. And members should have copies of this. I hope it's not just being passed out. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I don't either.
Okay. Senator Britt is recognized to explain the amendment.
This amendment is an amendment we worked on with stakeholders that lays out the appeal process, also offers for a procedure for any remedy for wrongful removal. This also has another somewhat related provision related to preemption of laws around pet shops.
All right. Thank you, Senator Britt. Questions from the committee on the amendment?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I missed the last part of what Senator Britt said. Preemption of laws around what?
Senator Britt recognized to address the question from Senator Grafstein.
Normally I don't talk about every detail in an amendment. I probably shouldn't have. Basically, this just creates uniformity in the. So right now, pet shops are licensed by the state. There are some cities and towns and counties that are trying to, legislate around what the state law says. This just says that since they're licensed by the state, their law is controlled by the state, and the cities and towns and counties are preempted from any laws related to those pet shops due to the fact that the state law controls with licensing.
Follow up.
Follow up. You recognized?
So if a city or town wanted to ban puppy mill pet shop situations, they could not do that if this passes?
They could ban a puppy mill pet shop because that's illegal under a different statute.
Follow-up.
Follow-up.
But if they had concerns about exploitation or animal welfare in a particular kind of pet shop, they would not be able to ban it under this.
They can't ban it. They can't do that now under existing state law.
Okay, so then what is the, follow-up?
Follow-up.
So if that's existing state law, then what does the amendment do?
The amendment deals with ordinance and resolutions, not what you're talking about there.
Wow.
I'll talk to you offline about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Other questions from the committee on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill is amended is back before us. Senator Moffitt, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill, expedited removal of unauthorized persons, is something that we've been working on for the last couple of years. We referred to it last year as the squatters bill. It's very comprehensive in its description of who an unauthorized occupant is, and it has a very good, very well-defined prescribed process that protects everyone involved when it comes to a expedited removal by law enforcement. It provides immunity to the law enforcement as well as the magistrate if the property owner or the unauthorized or the authorized agent representing the property owner conveys information that's not accurate, and a person who is entitled to be on the property is removed under false pretenses, and it also provides an opportunity for that person to take civil action against the removal. Stand ready to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Moffitt. I always appreciate your ability to explain it clearly and cogently and quickly. Lots of practice. Questions from the committee? I'm not seeing any questions from the committee. I have a motion. We don't have anybody from the public signed up to speak on this. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to speak on this bill? I'm not seeing any indicators, so we'll move on. We have a motion from Senator Britt. He moves for a favorable report to H96 as amended, rolled in a new PCS, unfavorable to the original, with a referral to Senate rules and with the ability of staff to make technical and conforming changes. Is that your motion, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Moffitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members.
Thank you. Moving on, are you ready, sir? Okay, well, we're going to go down to House 193, firearm law revisions. And there is an amendment to the bill, but I want to give Representative McNeely an opportunity to address the bill and why there is such a bill, if he'd like to take a minute to do that. You're recognized, sir, before we adopt the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee. This bill come about because right now on private property, there's the inability to protect yourself if it's in a school setting. And we have quite a few in my district alone, but many across the state. And they vary in size. I have one at an AME church that has about 12 kids on average. So they're very small, but they're just as important as another private school I have that has close to 370 some students. So they're all across this whole state, and many of them don't have the financial capacity or ability to be able to bring a law enforcement officer in, a SRO, but they still need protection. And this bill will give them a chance, if they choose. This is optional. If they choose, they will have the ability to be able to protect themselves in case of something horrible should go wrong and there should be any kind of a threat to their school or to their students. And there's some other parts to this bill. I've only seen one side of the dog. I saw the other side of the dog this morning. They look very similar, so I don't mind walking the dog because I think they're the same dog with some of the other stuff in here. So I think it's a good bill as far as the part where the threat assessment is to elected and other officials that are non-elected. So I do like the bill. There will be an amendment coming that makes the dog whole from when I had it under my care in the House, since it's been over here in y'all's care in the Senate. So, and I think we all want a whole dog when this bill's done and not just a half of a dog. So I hope that you'll give me a green light on it and maybe we'll hear the amendment.
Thank you, Representative McNeely. For members' benefit to make it, but we're going to take the amendment in just a second. For your benefit, the amendment he's referring to that's coming from Senator Daniel is going to be familiar to you. Senator Daniel, recognized to send forth your amendment.
Yes, sir. This amendment is a dog that's entitled H193-ACE 98 version 3. Can I explain the amendment?
Yes, you're recognized to explain the amendment.
So this amendment, first of all, if you recall, this body passed Senate Bill 280, the Private School Security Act, that creates exceptions to the prohibition on carrying concealed weapons on educational property so that private schools could have concealed carry holders that act as security for their schools, assuming as long as they're trained and authorized by the school. The bill also has the amendment also incorporates House Bill 95, which was entitled Threaten Elected Officials, and increase the punishment. What that section does is it clarifies in the statute that a public official would include, local elected officials, state elected officials, if threats or violence were done to those individuals, and it increases the penalty levels one class in each case. If it's use of a deadly weapon, it goes from an F to an E. If it's inflicting serious bodily injury, it goes from an E to a D, and so forth. So that's part of the amendment. It also does retain the part of the bill that, or the dog that Representative McNeely is interested in, which is the part that protects firing ranges that are used by law enforcement. Obviously, those need to be operated in daylight and nighttime hours to give proper training to our law enforcement. So the amendment retains that part of the bill. So I would ask the committee for its support.
All right. Thank you, Senator Daniel. Senator Gailey, you had your light on. Do you want to address the amendment?
Not the amendment.
Okay. All right. I'll hold it then. Other comments or questions from the committee about the amendment? Representative McNeely, do you wish to comment on the amendment?
I hope you have a green vote for the amendment. I like it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Not seeing any questions or comments on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill as amended is back before us. Senator Gailey, you're recognized.
I was just going to say it sounds like a hot dog to me, and so I would make a motion at the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Chitlick, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a series of questions for the bill sponsor.
Yes, you're recognized for some questions. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I have a lot of empathy for the plight of our private schools, all of our schools, and what's happening with school safety. And I know we all want to figure out a solution to support them and to keep students and faculty safe. I'm concerned about some of the training requirements or lack thereof for folks who will have guns in our schools. So SROs receive over 800 hours of training. Can you help me understand how many hours of training volunteers would need to receive in this instance?
This is going to be a case-by-case person chosen. Some may have 800 hours. They may be a retired police officer. They may be retired military. There could be any individual. That school, that administration in that school on private grounds has to figure out who's going to be the most qualified person that they can obtain. I do not want to put them into a box that makes it unattainable for them to protect themselves and to have their Second Amendment rights taken away from them. This is on private property. So I think if you set up a time, I guess the question is, it kind of gets biblical. If you remember when Abraham argued with God about how many people would he keep from destroying Sodom and Gomorrah, and it got down if you had one. And it started out at more many. So where is the question? What is enough or what is not enough? I don't know the answer, but whatever is comfortable with the administration and the students and parents of that school, that ought to be what is enough to call them qualified, in my opinion.
And Senator, I'll comment to help you out on your question. If you'll recall from Senate Bill 280, and if you'll look at the amendment under subsection D, you'll see that there's an annual training requirement that requires 8 hours of training. So,
Thank you for
That
answering
answers your question.
That's very
Okay.
clear.
Do you have another question?
Yes, thank you. What does law enforcement think about this bill? Have they indicated that this is going to help them out and make their lives easier? Is there a formal position from the law enforcement community on this bill, or are there concerns that a teacher, for example, with a gun might be mistaken for an active shooter?
Basically, the Sheriff's Association has remained neutral on this to see how, I guess the old saying, this plays out. Will be interesting. As far as it being a teacher, if they're the most trained, qualified they have, and they wish to participate and the administration is good, they could. It could be the janitor. It could be somebody's grandfather. Like I said, once again, if we get this so specific, it'll never be obtainable for that particular school possibly. A lot of this has to do with the financial ability. And I know a lot of people say, well, they're going to a private school, so the funds should be unlimited. It's however much you want to pay. But that's not necessarily true. Some schools just don't have the ability to probably do what public can with SROs that are basically furnished to them by the county or by the city. It's not a level playing field.
Senator Chitlick, I'll just comment in running 280, I didn't experience any opposition from any law enforcement. I can't recall any specific endorsements or saying they support it, but I don't recall encountering any law enforcement opposition to it, to answer your question. Do you have another question?
I do.
Okay, you're recognized for another question.
I understand the constrained resources that many private schools face, and I know that we're all just trying to do the most that we can with the constrained resources that we have, which is why I'm interested in evidence-based solutions to these kind of challenges. Do you have comprehensive data that shows that interventions like this actually keep students and teachers safe?
I'll take that question for you because I want to keep it. We've already debated this with 280. And so we're kind of debating the same thing again, and we'll also be able to debate it on the floor again. Mm-hmm. A good example of what we're trying to address is the Nashville school shooting that occurred in Tennessee, where they didn't have any private security. That situation can happen here in North Carolina today if we don't address this. And you say we're looking for this is our solution. This is what we believe is the right way to go. Do you have another question?
I do. I actually wasn't, I was asking a question about the data and the evidence. I understand that we all want a solution, but I'm interested if you have data that I don't have that shows that this does actually protect our students, because the data that I have says that this leads to more accidents in schools and actually more injuries and more deaths.
Mr. Chairman, can I maybe address something?
You may address it. Yes, sir.
I guess my question is, do you feel like we need to take all the SROs out of the public schools that we have now?
I don't. SROs are markedly different than a grandfather with maybe 8 hours of training.
Can you name me one time where a grandfather would...
Representative McNeely, we respect the House. The chair controls the flow and the questioning.
Excuse me.
I can even rule her question out of order and move on, so she understands who's driving this train today. Okay. So Senator Chitlick, I don't want to have a debate with you on this subject. We're going to move this bill today. We're going to hear from the public. We've debated these points before. I'm interested offline to hear about your data that shows that we're not safe, because we don't have it, and so we don't. I don't mean we don't have the data. The data doesn't exist, is what I'm trying to say, because we don't have it. So you can't. I'm real curious to see this data that you say you have that proves your case, but I know from my own experience that the data doesn't exist. So. Do you have a different question?
No.
Because otherwise we're going to keep moving. We have a motion. Okay. Are there other members that have questions? Okay.
Not a question, just a comment, Mr. Chair.
Senator Grafstein, you're recognized for a comment.
Thank you so much. So my understanding, actually, that committee is actually where we are supposed to debate these issues, and while you may be satisfied that this issue is resolved, I don't think it is. So I just wanted to raise that here, because I appreciate things got a little bit heated and a little bit wild there for a moment, but I think it would be a bad precedent to just say, we talked about this once before, we're not going to talk about it again. This is the place we have the opportunity to weigh in, and that shouldn't be cut short. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll go one more round. Okay. We do debate in this committee. We've already debated essentially this bill in this committee, and we have a motion before us. and we have a number of speakers that wish to address this bill, and we have other bills that we need to address today. So we're going to move on. So at this time, unless there are other members of the committee that have a question or comment, we're going to hear from the public. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee? Not seeing any. We have a number of folks that have signed up for this bill. I'm just going to go from the top. It looks like we have Reverend Mark Creech, and then I think Becky, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Becky Seratus. They're the two that I see that are signed up for this bill. So first we'll hear from Mark Creech. And you're recognized for 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Reverend Mark Creech. I'm Director of Government Relations for Return America. Evil walked through the doors of the Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee last year, armed, deliberate, and deadly. 3 innocent children and 3 staff members were slaughtered in moments. It wasn't just a tragedy. I suggest to you it was a wake-up call, a flashing red light reminding us that evil doesn't knock at the door. It storms in armed and ready to kill. And the question we must ask is who will be there to stop it? Under current law in North Carolina, even well-trained, licensed individuals, veterans, off-duty officers, or responsible parents cannot carry a concealed handgun on private or Christian school campuses, even with the school's written permission. These schools, many of them operating on shoestring budgets, are being denied the right to protect their students in the way they need. House Bill 193 changes that. It doesn't impose a mandate. It doesn't force firearms onto campuses. It simply gives private K-12 schools the freedom, with written permission, no signage prohibiting it, to make that decision for themselves. Opponents will say we don't want more guns in the schools, but the truth is the guns are already coming, carried by those who intend harm. And the question is whether someone good, courageous, and trained will be there to meet them. We protect our money, our politicians, our courtrooms with firearms. Why would we not allow private schools or Christian schools to protect what is most precious, our children? You have an opportunity today to do more than pass a bill through committee. You can give school leaders a fighting chance because evil is real. I ask you not to tie the hands of those willing to stand between that evil and the innocent. Return America urges you to pass House Bill 193.
Thank you, sir. And Becky, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, Seratus?
That's great. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to address House Bill 193. My name again is Becky Kirchdas. I'm the Executive Director of North Carolinians Against Gun Violence. We strongly oppose House Bill 193 because it creates a serious safety risk for our students and teachers that far outweigh any supposed benefit. House Bill 193 would allow anyone with a concealed carry weapons permit with written permission from a private school owner to carry concealed at a private school. This could be a teacher, staff, volunteer, janitor who may have only received 8 hours of training to get a concealed carry weapons permit. And if permitless carry becomes law, Senate Bill 50, it would mean that there would be no background check, no training. Somebody could be at least 18 years old, and they could go into a private school if they have written permission. The thought of a teacher who is working with and caring for students to transform into a law enforcement officer when an emergency arises boggles my mind. And how would a law enforcement officer know whom to trust during an active shooter situation if multiple individuals have weapons drawn? As we've seen from experience, the most likely result of this legislation is not a teacher stopping an active shooter, but instead a teacher negligently leaving a gun where a student can find it, or improperly using or threatening to use a gun in a disciplinary situation or where deadly force is not proper. We saw after you passed a bill that would allow guns at religious places of worship with associated schools. A religious school staff member, a legally carrying concealed carry weapons permit holder, left the gun in a bathroom. A child found the gun. more guns in our private schools is going to be more children may find guns and then possibly handle a gun. Guns in schools present a threat and not a benefit for our children. I urge you to vote no on House Bill 193. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Thank you from the public. So we do have a motion before us. Any further comment from the committee? I'm not seeing any. Senator Galey moves for a favorable report to H-193 as amended, rolled in a new PCS, unfavorable to the original bill, with a referral to, I believe, rules. Yes, and I'll add to that staff to make technical and conforming changes. Is that your motion, ma'am? Yes, sir. All right, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. The bill as amended is adopted. And we thank you, sir. Thank you, representatives. Good to see you here.
Good to see you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee. Sorry for my passion. I get carried away.
Understood. Understood. Thank you. All right. Moving on, we've done 96. We've got one thing left. We got 171, House Bill 171, and
no amendments.
I don't believe we have any amendments on this bill.
PCS. But it is a PCS, sir.
It is a PCS. Do we have a motion to bring forward the PCS? Senator Daniel moves to bring forward the PCS. All those in favor say aye. Aye. PCS is before us. Representative, are you ready?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're recognized.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for allowing me to present this bill. Is it right to discriminate or not? I'm here today to present House Bill 171, a bill rooted in the fact that discrimination is wrong and has no place in the state of North Carolina. House Bill 171 is about the future of North Carolina, a future where every individual is treated equally. This bill affirms that government should not divide people into categories, hand out preferences, or impose political tests. It should serve all people equally. House Bill 171 protects everyone. It promotes equality and prohibits discrimination. People who oppose the bill say this is a distraction. But what's a distraction about protecting the future opportunities our children and grandchildren will have in the state? What's a distraction about ensuring that government jobs are filled by the most qualified candidates to serve the people of North Carolina? This is about building a stronger North Carolina, a place where government is neutral, opportunity is equal, and excellence is the standard. That's not controversial. It's not a distraction. That's what great government looks like, and North Carolinians deserve that. As we all know, it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to this moment. And North Carolina is ready to build on the work of previous generations for a future without discrimination. And I do want to acknowledge that if someone is racist, sexist, or prejudiced in any way, they should absolutely fear this bill, because that has no place in the future of our state. This bill builds on the progress we have made since the 60s and ensures that North Carolina leads the way and takes the next step to a future without discrimination. And I ask this committee to give this bill a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Do we have questions from the committee? Senator Everett. I'm used to seeing green lights, Senator, so I appreciate you raising your hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a question, two questions for staff, if I could.
Please, if you can, please expedite your questions and keep moving. Now, there's a number of people in the public who want to address this bill.
I understand. My understanding is that discriminatory hiring practices are currently banned under 126. Is that correct?
Who's on staff ready to handle this bill? Michael? Brad, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brad Creeley, Legislative Analysis Division. There are various provisions dealing with discrimination in 126 and otherwise, and the language in the bill specifically indicates that it's not to conflict with other state or federal law.
Senator, you're recognized for a follow-up.
That was yes?
Brad?
Yes.
Okay. And second question is, veterans' preferences that were in the law, are they still in the law, or does this bill eliminate that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brad Crehealy, Legislative Analysis. Senator, there's not specific language talking about veterans' preferences in the bill. As I said, there is language indicating that this section is not to conflict with other applicable or state or federal law. I would point out that it's possible to create an exception if you wanted to specifically indicate that veterans' preferences were to be exempted from the bill.
Senator?
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Senator Grafstein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow up on Senator Everett's questions and points, I guess this is for the bill sponsor if he's willing to, and good to meet you. I'm not sure we have met before. Thank you for being here. So as Senator Everett alluded to, we have a statutory scheme of non-discrimination in state employment under Chapter 126. Currently, that is administered through a process by the Office of State Human Resources, I think it's called now, and there's a process for people to bring grievances or complaints if they are discriminated against. This bill sort of substitutes the auditor's office as the decider of discrimination issues, and I wondered if was some concern about the current structure that's in place for anti-discrimination provisions that made you feel like we needed this bill to take the place of that structure.
Representative?
Yes, I don't think there was a concern. This is the path that we thought was best.
Follow up?
Yeah, follow up.
Okay, follow up. You're recognized.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the concern that I'm raising here, Representative, is that we now currently under, and I apologize, I'm going to be a little bit wonky, and I know we have people waiting. Hopefully, we can go over a little bit. My work in prior years was doing state employee work, and in fact, I served in the State Personnel Commission. There's a whole structure of courts and decision makers in place to decide discrimination claims, and people can bring those claims in the OAH or in federal court. And there's a series of case law, and there are standards of proof that have to be brought. And my concern is that we are now taking that sort of what has really been within that structure that is, the governor appoints the Office of State Human Resources head, and we're now taking yet more authority from the executive realm of the governor and placing it with the state auditor. And I just wondered what the rationale was for the state auditor being essentially a fact finder and decider on these issues as opposed to the structure that's been in place.
Representative, if you know.
I'm not certain, but this is the path that we thought was best.
Okay. And when you say we, you mean the House?
Yes, that's where this bill came from, yes.
Understood, okay.
It's coming through the chair.
I'm sorry?
Do you have another question?
I do, thank you.
Okay. You're recognized for another question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under this bill, the state auditors would now be in charge of making these decisions around discrimination in employment, in state employment. Do you know what standard would be applied to those kinds of determinations by the state auditor?
Representative?
I'll refer that to staff.
Rob?
Okay. Michael Johnston. Michael Johnston, Legislative Analysis. From the face of the text of the bill, it does not address any standards that the state auditor might use in determining violations of the PCS.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston.
Another question?
Yes, another question. One of the things that concerns me about the bill itself is that there are penalties associated with an employee, $5,000 penalties for violations, and violations is broad, so it's not just